In this video, I'm going to talk about how to get promoted, especially if you work for a medium or large size company. A lot of people think it's all about just doing a great job. Hate to be the bearer of bad news, but it's just not true. In my 12 plus years at a large tech company and as a hiring manager, I'm gonna share the truth about getting promoted, what's worked for me and what I've seen work for others. So let's get to it. Truth number one is promotions come from movement. You might have heard the advice around how to get the most substantial increases in pay, and that is to change companies. Now that can be true, but it's not always necessary. But what is generally more true is that you likely have to change roles in order to get promoted. Now this is to contrast with in-role promotions, which at medium and large size companies can be a little bit tricky. Getting an in-role promotion is, in effect, getting paid more money to do theoretically the same job. At least that's how the HR department might interpret it. That being said, in-role promotions can certainly happen, and there's a logical way around the logic I just mentioned. One of which is to add more responsibilities to the job to justify the promotion to HR or to maybe another leader that needs to approve this. So that's one pathway, and I'll touch on that a little bit later in this video. But the other pathway is to explore opportunities outside of your immediate team at the same company. Most companies are going to have grade levels associated with roles, and they're going to have salaries associated with those grade levels. You, being at the company, have the benefit of seeing these opportunities pop up and knowing what grade levels they're at. And understanding those grade levels will help you narrow down on the opportunities you decide to pursue, because you'll know which ones are going to be promotions from your current grade level. And don't just look at any role at the company that is a promotion. That's really not the right way to approach it. You should, of course, narrow it down to teams or functions that you're really interested in going to, and ideally teams that you already work with, have an understanding of what they do, and you've likely built some relationships with those people and with the leaders of those teams, so long as those opportunities are of interest to you and you meet at least half the qualifications where the other half is simply learning opportunities. That's going to be your most clear path to a promotion. But whether you go down that path or for whatever reason you're really set on getting that in-role promotion, this is the next truth to consider. And that is, you must do more than what the current role calls for. At a certain point in whatever role you're in, you're likely going to be fairly proficient. You should be really great at it, which, as I mentioned earlier, occasionally is enough to warrant a promotion. But it's more often the case that you'll need to demonstrate that you can add more value than what the role calls for. This means taking the lead on additional projects or work streams, but not just any projects or work streams. You need to be cognizant of the visibility that these projects and work streams can afford you, which means that the projects need to lead to some big financial impact, or they need to involve working with a lot of other stakeholders. And better if those stakeholders on the other teams comprise of not only your colleagues, but also leaders on those teams. You want as many people as possible to see the work that you're doing and the impact that you're having, so that if or when there's a window of opportunity for promotions across the organization, you'll have not only your manager supporting the promotion, but you'll also have the backing and support of leaders across the organization. And that all comes from adding more value and being visible, which leads us to the final truth, and that is networking. It doesn't matter how much you know, what you've done, or what you're capable of. If not enough people know about it, or the right people don't know about it, none of it matters in the way of getting promoted. At all stages of your career, you need to be networking. And that means identifying colleagues and other leaders that you admire or you identify with in some way, having conversations about their career journey, sharing some of your own aspirations and things that you're working on, and getting feedback on what you could be doing more of to get where you want to be. And maybe most importantly, find a way to add value to that person. Inquire about what challenges those people face. use that as an opportunity to go above and beyond in your role to tackle some of those challenges. Ideally, doing so would have some relationship to your current role and what you do and what your goals are, but that doesn't necessarily have to be the case, especially if you're looking at teams and functions that are very far removed from what you're doing today. So here's the takeaway. Promotions all depend on adding more value than expected, making sure people know about the value that you're adding, and networking. But sometimes you need a little bit more if you're considering a move outside the team to another function. Maybe the function is very different from what you're doing currently. Sometimes there's a knowledge gap you need to fill. And if you want a good way to identify, document, and track those actions, I've got a career planner that you can check out down in the description below that gives you the structure to use for your career journey, of which education is a part. And as far as education is concerned, you may want to consider a degree or an online certificate or certification of some sort. And for some really affordable education options, make sure to check out these next two videos where I talk about online MBAs as well as online courses that are, like I said, very inexpensive and can be the launching pad to a new skill or even a new career. There are more options out there than ever before for education, so make sure to take advantage of them. And with that said, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you around.